So for all their virtue, look, I don't care. I don't care whether men or women get paid differently. I'm not. I don't care. I'm not playing this stupid gender pay cap game. I don't care. All right, couldn't give a shit. All right. However, if you're going to sit there and virtue signal like people do, you're going to get exposed. You're going to, you got to practice what you preach. Disney is now forced to reveal unequal pay on Star Wars show The Acolyte.
Wait,
so
what?
This is from Forbes.
Aren't these guys like the pinnacle of woke and diversity and equity and inclusion?
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. This is the thing, right? So because this was filmed in the UK, they have to publish everything, right? They have to show everything on tax filings, and part of that is also how much people get paid. So if we scroll all the way down, it says the show was shot in the United Kingdom between October 2022 and June 2023 at Shinfield Studios, around an hour outside of London. Studios filming in the UK receive reimbursement of up to 25.5% of the money they spend in the country, but have to make detailed financial disclosures to get it. As we revealed, pre-production of The Acolyte cost $48.5 million, which is more than was spent on the groundwork for Rogue One. Spending isn't the only disclosure the UK government requires from studios which film in the country. Any employer with a headcount of 250 people or more, so that's direct employees, is also forced to disclose the difference in pay between men and women on their payroll. Not only does this show that the average hourly pay of the women who worked on The Acolyte was 19.4% less than men received, but it was also 13.5% lower than taking the middle number if hourly pay is ranked from highest to lowest. What's more, although men outnumber women in the bottom and two middle hourly pay bands, 53% of the employees in the highest hourly pay band were also male. Inequality has been a hot topic. Look, again, I don't care, but as Caroline notes here, the writer of this article, says inequality has been a hot topic recently for Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy, but not this kind of inequality. Defending Hedlund's stewardship of The Acolyte in an interview with the New York Times, she said, I think Leslie has struggled a little bit. I think a lot of women who step into Star Wars struggle with this a bit more because the fan base being so male dominated. They sometimes get attacked in ways that can be quite personal. Before bemoaning the lack of women in the Star Wars fan base, perhaps she should have ensured that the ones who are working behind the scenes on its latest show are getting paid the same as the men. Until that happens, all they can do is continue to hold out for a new hope. I just think it's funny.
I'm curious how much Carrie-Anne Moss made, though. I'm willing to bet she was the highest paid actor in the show.
Probably.
I'm willing to bet. Next would probably be the one dude,
the Korean guy, or
the Korean guy, and then probably Amanda Liston, and she might actually be paid more. So again, I'm sure the highest paid guy has got to be him, and he's probably the next in line. Somewhere down the line is probably way down the line is Don Lemon, stand-in number 62.
Yeah, High School Musical guy.
Yeah, and then so like from there on out, it's just basically day players and what's their faces. Oh, the two moms probably got paid okay.
Well,
I want to see the breakdowns here, because that's the thing is I believe what they're saying, but because that's how dirty Disney would do things. But at the same time, I don't believe in this inequality crap in Hollywood anyway, because you get paid what you negotiate for, as Robert Meyer Burnett so eloquently puts it. Like, it's just the way it is. If you're worth more, if you're a top billed name, if you're the star, doesn't matter what color or sex you are, you're going to get paid the most. Guess what? Denzel Washington gets paid the most on an Equalizer movie. Mind blown.
There is also this that has just dropped as culture note. So what's this, Culture? You want to jump in on this, mate?
So I've been reporting on all the lawsuits that Disney involved in. It's more than a dozen. This is one of them. This is a class action lawsuit filed by a group of women who are reportedly underpaid in a massive sense. Just like Carolyn Reed was reporting, this is another breakdown of it. Disney is actually refusing to hand over the paperwork associated with this massive class action lawsuit, claiming that the mouse systemically underpaid all female employees for years. They've got some of the evidence that they need, but during this discovery phase, Disney is blocking them from getting well, the balance of it.
How
And
can
this-
they if it's discovery? Like, was it court ordered discovery?
They're, they are supposed to be providing this. This has been going on, I think, since 2019.
well, I'm not a lawyer, so I have no idea.
Yeah, and it is a statement of fact that Disney faces lawsuits all the time, right? But they always have to provide, if ordered to, discovery. The head lawyer over there, Lori Andrus, says that as Disney nears its 100th year in existence, it needs to catch up to the time. The gender pay gap, which is, Nate says we don't really care all that much about. We just want people to be paid equally. We hope that this lawsuit will shed light on the paid discrimination. It is only fair to demand equal pay for equal work, which I agree with. So as you go through this thing, this is a $300 million minimum lawsuit, would be my guess. So
12,000 women.
Yep. It's a historic case with 12,000 women who claim that they were paid less than their male counterparts, and if the House of Mouse loses, it's big bucks. 6 months ago, Disney took a major loss in its lawsuit battle when Los Angeles Superior Court Judge Elihu M. Burrell ruled that the case could be certified as class action, and the company called the decision disappointing. Now, Judge Burrell has tentatively agreed that the company, can withhold paperwork for 86 specific correspondence that are being demanded as evidence, as long as it can prove that there's good reason for doing so. So that's where we're at. This is news that just dropped today. Andrus is claiming that this is inappropriately withholding documents. And then Disney said, we don't have to give a reason. The judge says, well, that's not true. So we'll see what happens with this. I just thought it was a great update to go along with the Carolyn Reed story, because Disney is not a good company. They've been fooling families and investors alike, and this is even more right here. Anyway,
so
Yep.
Again, practice what you preach. Like, I don't personally care, but if you're going to sit there and stand on this pedestal, above everyone else, acting as if you're trying to take the high road,
Right.
you better get your house in order. Your shit better not stink, quite frankly. Do you know what I mean?
hear
You can't sit there.
I'll tell you something funny I heard from somebody in the know also, that they started getting rid of documents older than 3 years old because they've been losing so many lawsuits that they've been shredding, deleting, getting rid of stuff over 3 years old.
Yeah, that's not at all.
Yeah, and I mean, as I said before, I don't really believe in a lot of this pay disparity. The only places I can believe it still happens is in maybe corporate areas, executive areas, Washington, stuff like that, right? Like, I don't, any normal general level employment, like in most cases, women are equal to and or above pay. The other problem you have though is men take higher paid jobs that are more dangerous, right? That's another thing that's always brought up in this argument, that women don't generally take, like working on oil rigs and such. So you have that part of it. To me, it's always kind of this give and take, and it always has been that way. Sure, was there a big gap in the past? Oh, yes, we knew that. That was, as far as I was concerned, in the 1980s and 90s, we kind of worked a lot of that shit out, just like we did with a lot of the race shit. Now, is everything perfect? No, there's always room for improvement. But the problem is they always act like there's this big, huge problem still when there isn't. Now, do I believe there's still a problem at Disney? Yes. Because if there's a company that's still going to take advantage of something like that, it's Disney. It's one of these corporate companies that do. They normally do. So yes, I guarantee you go across all these big corporate companies and you compare male executive pay to female pay, or even black executive pay, let's say, there's probably is a huge gap. Why? Because that's the only places this kind of racism and sexism still actually exists. In the normal world, it's not so bad anymore. Does it still happen? Yes, but not to this extent. That's my point. Like, I brought it up a dozen times. It's like, you ask most people, they're getting paid just as much as the person working next to them in most jobs, unless you're an executive or something else. Then you're talking something different, or a shift lead or something like that, depending on what you're doing, right? Or a team leader or whatever. But even then, it's like, again, you're talking more responsibility for more pay. And usually those people work more hours. And see, a lot of the people that are griping about these things, that are saying that there's some kind of gap, aren't taking into consideration the difference there, right? Like that's the thing a lot of these people don't think about.
Well, and experience, right? Experience also usually means people are paid a bit more. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to get into the sort of semantics of.
Yeah, you can be here all day about it. I mean, when you sit down and average out like what certain people are making on salary compared to hourly, what's funny is that's where I see a lot of people griping. It's like, you do realize that salary worker, your supervisor there, that may be making X amount a year. Sure, he may be making more than you, but he also works 30 more hours than you do a week.
Yeah, he does all the hours you don't see. Like he'll be
exactly
saying when you've gone, right? Like,
yep, you don't get paid no overtime or holiday pay or nothing.
Exactly. So it's always a trade-off. And again, I get it. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, but I think some people that gripe about it the most don't take the little things into consideration. But I think this will be hilarious. Considering that Disney doesn't want to release these papers, it makes them look guilty as hell.
Well, in light of what Carolyn Reed just revealed from the UK production numbers, Disney does pay women less.
Yeah, I mean, it literally says, according to filings in early April last year, when production of the streaming series was still in full swing, just 30% of the 695 employees were female, and across the entire workforce, women's average salary pay was 19.4% lower than men's. So 30% of the workforce were female, but across everything, they were paid 19.4% lower.
Okay, I believe this. But how many of the key grips and lighting people and people that handle like the heavier, more
I don't know,
jobs? See, that's another thing. I know you get into semantics here, and again, I'm not trying to stick up
for
Disney, but yeah,
I'll tell you what. If they're trying to pay women less because they're like, yeah, sure, let's just pay women less.
Exactly.
It makes a damn sight lot more sense as to why. Like the likes of Amazon and Disney are always like, we need to get female-owned businesses in here because we can pay them less.
You got a point, and I don't disagree with you. There's two sides to this that can be definitely exposed for sure.
Oh, that's brilliant. Oh, fucking! Oh, this is just. I mean, it's insane. No, but the Acolyte. Look, you got to practice what you preach. Don't sit there and put things. Stand on a pedestal, talking down to everyone whilst your house isn't in order. It's not a good look. Not a good look.
Nope.
We haven't heard from you, Nick. You got any comments on this, bud?
I mean, I agree with what Tom was saying. I don't really have a whole lot more to add to it. Again, not really anything surprising. Disney will go out there and virtue signal all their woke crap, and then they'll get busted with.
No, but Nate does bring up an interesting point. That could be another reason behind a lot of this DEI diversity push, is that as I brought up earlier, not just women, but people of color, let's say. I hate using that term, but just to throw an umbrella over it, that might be a reason why they're pushing this so hard, because they can hire them at much cheaper prices. They can pay them much less than, and a lot of it is just simply because women and people who are not white, I guess traditionally don't stand up for themselves more because they're afraid of being fired for whatever reason, which I'm not saying is right.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can see that also being a reason to push this kind of crap, is because, you're saving yourself X amount of money on the back end.
Very, very funny. We got some super chats about this. So we got one from Chaos is Fun for $3. Says, Leslie taking cues on how to shaft women royally from her former boss, Harvey Weinstein. Love that. Israel R for $5 says, wow, the Acolyte craziness is literally unreal, or even surreal. Sending funds your way, Mr. H, for the new car. Thanks very much. He says, anyone playing Elden Ring? Cheers. Anyone playing Elden Ring? I've not picked it up.
It's hard.
Okay.
What?
It's hard.
That's what she said.
All right.
Dr. Disrespect was playing Elden Ring.
You had a Freudian slip there.
Wee bit.
And with that, I think Mr.
No,
H is
right, well,
distracted.
No, we'll move on. I
He's-
thought I
he's
was waiting for you
melting.
guys to say some more stuff. You weren't saying it.
No, I think we've kind of. I mean, until we see the discovery on this, I don't think there's really much more we can say about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe it. It's Disney. They're going to do anything they can not to pay people. I've got more than enough stories from people who work for Disney where this is a tradition for Disney. They won't pay you
Yes.
the last paycheck.
No, they won't. Actually,
You have to fight
Yeah, we know.
tooth and
Alan
nail
Dean.
to get your last paycheck from them mofos. In fact,
Well,
I
I
know
know
somebody who
what they-
worked on one of the Pirates movies and he couldn't get his last paycheck, so he said F it and started taking pieces from one of the boats.
Well, it's also
Oh, wow.
royalties. They don't pay royalties either.
Yeah, they're tradition. They love not to pay royalties. Yeah.
Yeah.